Why would we want thermal imaging on a ghost hunt?
They're colder?
Cold, right. We're looking for cold spots. So you can see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. If you were a bridal party, I'd be the hottest thing inside the camera. But I point that out on purpose so it sticks in your brain, just so you know. But we're looking for blue and black. Those are going to be the coldest spots in the frame at the moment. The cool thing about what I did with this camera is, first off, it's a FLIR. So this is the real deal. This is not a phone app. Even though it's on a phone, it's not a phone app. It's not something you can download. So I actually set up a blue dot that bounces around the screen to show you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. It's there to help guide your eye when you get your video back. So it kind of helps you out a little bit. I also left the sensor crosshairs, so that way, in case the user, which is going to be Gil, actually wants to pinpoint something specifically, he can do that. It does not move, so that way he can move the camera and pinpoint that sign, the biker coming by, so forth and so on, just to kind of get a gist of things. So,
This I don't have to do anything, right? So, what year did the tragedy occur?
7.8.
Oh shit.
What?
8.
What happened during the tragedy?
You got anything on your words, babe?
Train.
3.6. But
I got that 8.
8. Yeah. 3.6. Yeah, but it spiked to 8.
Hey, babe, come this way.
Seems like this one's way more sensitive than this one. Okay. Like this one's
Was
picking
it
up way
weather
higher,
related?
way higher, and then this one is always pretty low.
Yeah, those numbers that you gave me so far, have they been remotely close to each other?
When they get to like 8, this doesn't even change.
Doesn't change at all.
Yeah. Like this one got up to like an 8, but then it was
To me at the same time as listening to that, because it's very, in your ear and in your face. So let's kind of cover the answers. I do want to see the word list real quick before I kind of break into the answers. Still all really vague. I see stock train is kind of a phrase, which seems kind of weird, and you're already up to 30 terms, so that's quite a bit.
And then these they're just like yeah.
Alright, so let's go over the answers. I guess first thing I need to do is explain what the EMF readings actually mean. Let me so those readings that Jesse's getting, if you were to put the red device in behind your TV set, it's going to read about 40 to 60 millimeters. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how much we were getting. You got all the way up to 59. So we had above what your TV spits out. If you were to set next to a microwave, that same device while it's running, 150 to 170. Okay. The highest I've ever seen that device go has been here, 214 milliamps. Yeah, we left. I already told you I have epilepsy. That's too much electricity in the air for a guy with a neurological disorder. Okay. So we got out
Sorry
of
for
here.
my coughing.
You're fine. I just want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, no, I just lingering.
I gotcha.
Uh-huh.
So we had a 59 in here, which is like probably one of the highest readings I've seen in here, probably in the past few months. Okay. Normally we get a spike of 18 to 22 in random areas, and the fact that we actually had some skeletal figures on the SLS over there with all of us over here, that was exciting. So that's real. I mean, we didn't get the word cherry, which it could be something. We also had 335.
When I was talking and just said I said the thing about my cough.
Not that I think that she would have had an address in the colonial times, but the address of this place is 235. The weird thing about that is how I learned about it was somebody heard, get your appointment at 2:30 today, and then somebody else heard the number 5 at the exact same time. So I wrote both of them down, researched it, the address here is 235. So it's kind of, you see where I'm going? You have to put the clues together. So let's talk about these answers. Let's see. I'm not updating right now. Yeah, and then the tablet I used to show you guys pictures is much smaller than a damn iPad. My wife was laughing at me. So, this is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. So this is the woman we were trying to get in touch with. I use her maiden name because she is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. His first wife, Eliza, also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. At times, we will get the maiden name on your word list, and we've heard it on your spirit box before. The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney, so we have Lamb and Lucas were the names that will normally pop up here. This one, the second wife, married Charles at the age of 22. Charles was 45. Definitely a creepy age gap, right? So, the reason it's creepy to me is because I'm close to Charles's age, and my oldest daughter is Eliza's age at the time. The mansion, which you were trying to find out what happened to it, this is the only photograph of the mansion we actually have. This is Great Fire Damage of 1861. So, at times when we get things like same token, it's one of those pieces where I have to look at. Yeah, we did get elements, right. So if we get something a little bit more specific, fire, burning, blaze, anything like that, we will often get 2 or 3 of the digits from the date, which was 12/11/61. Very specific numbers. So again, that's what happened to the mansion.
Also, anything with basement?
There were no basements.
Right, because it was back in the day.
Right. We didn't bring up the children, but that's usually one of the things that kind of pokes the bear with the light. We're going to cover them very briefly. There were 4 of them. So if we were to ask her, we will often get the answer 3 because there's a tragedy among one of them that she doesn't want us to talk about. So you heard 3 options, which I was like, oh shit, maybe we're going to get something. So 4 children grand total. Charles you already know about, signer of the Constitution, right? The next child I talk about is Thomas. He fought in a Revolutionary War battle, shot in the left leg, and captured by the British. Yeah.
It's about the 3rd or 4th time I hear it. It's about the 3rd or 4th time I hear that.
What do they hear?
Time to go home.
Oh, maybe it's just they're wrapping things up and they're
Possibly.
excited. Anyway,
Did he freeze?
no. But anyway, the terms that we normally get around Thomas would obviously be his name, left leg, shot. The pictures you're going to find of Thomas after that battle are going to be of his right side. So he's hiding his left leg, and there's always a cane over his lap. So, yeah, they're just excited to go home. The next child is the one that we don't poke the bear with. This is Baby George. Baby George, actually, obviously you can see where this thing's going already. It's Miranda. She runs the candy shop in the corner. So, so I do know her. But at any rate, she's like waving to me, like, wait a minute, I know her. But anyway, Baby George, the weird thing about him, he doesn't have a grave, and he doesn't have a headstone. It's a possibility, and this is my theory alone, that he was mummified and kept right here in the home. You might want to look out because she's going to be coming out this way. They would have kept him right here, waiting for the mother to pass away so he could be buried with her. Yeah, definitely a weird practice. And you can't Google mummied baby. I can't prove it. You can look up religious practices of the 1700s and you can see some of them. Yep. And they kept the baby right there. It's kind of safe space. They didn't know what kind of land they were dealing with to be able to be burying them.
Okay.
Now, it's going to get even more weird when we talk about Eliza's death, but there's one more child. Her name is Harriet. She's the only daughter. She married Daniel Horry. Why that's important is because Myrtle Beach is Horry County. That gives you an idea of where she lived, 2.5 hours north of me. So it wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride for Eliza, lots of letter writing. In the event we hear from Harriet, which is very seldom, we get quill, ink, paper, those kind of things. So again, very seldom that we hear from Harriet. Eliza's death, she was 70 years old when she passed away. I want to point out that that's a long time for a woman to be living in the 1700s. She was going to Philadelphia getting treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. We didn't know what the hell breast cancer was in the 1700s. By the way, this was 1793 when she passed away. So we're going based off her medical records now. She died in Philly. She was buried in Philly. This is where things get weird. That should raise 2 questions in the back of your brain. Baby George. If my theory is true, it would have transferred Baby George from here all the way to Philadelphia by horse and carriage. Kind of a weird thought, creepy thought, to be that driver with a mummy baby in the back of the car, right? The second thing is if Eliza's up there, what are we doing down here? I don't take you to actual cemeteries. Why? I don't get much activity in them, believe it or not. People don't hang out where they're buried. They go to their mansions 400 miles away, which is exactly why I take it in spaces that I do. And you're like, oh, that makes sense, right? So, who wants to take a guess at who the president was that was the pallbearer at the funeral?
1700s?
1793.
1793.
It's good that you can't answer. Let me explain. It was George Washington. At his own request, to pay homage to Eliza based on her indigo that helped get the country started. He knew Eliza personally, and even when he came to Charleston, he met with her secretly in Georgetown on his way into town so he could have a little breakfast. Now, the reason why it's a good thing you can't answer is when we got here, I told y'all I'm not going to give you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the Big Red Barn. I do that on purpose, subliminally putting George Washington in the back of all of your brains to see who's going to spit it back to me. Notice when I'm giving you all the answers, the only one I asked for back was the George Washington bit. When we first got here, that was the first thing I said was the George Washington questions, so that way it was the furthest way apart. You all passed with a fail. This is a good thing. I don't want you not just repeating everything that I'm saying, so that way she's like, oh, I just heard George Washington. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I do that on purpose so I know who I'm working with. You all passed with a fail. Bill's like, all right, I can see that.
Makes sense.
So here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to go to an alley. So the alley is a staple. So you can go ahead and stop your video, give your hands a break. It's called Philadelphia Alley. So this used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So we all tell the same story, but you're going to hear it a little bit different from me because you need different details because you're ghost hunting. This isn't a campfire and marshmallow, ghost story. So let's get into it. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If you start to hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence, just so you know. It is common to hear that song down here. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. Yes. So he tells Amanda to get rid of this guy. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, the coachman that was bringing him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. However, somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop there. The reason why you have that Ouija board and why I bought it was for this location. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. The letters R.I. were showing up on the spirit boxes.
I'm sorry, just to increase the sensitivity to the lower.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to turn it clockwise. Yeah, so it's turned all the way up right.
Okay.
But anyway, we were getting the letters R.I. being heard on spirit boxes. It was the weirdest thing. Not like RBI from baseball, R.I. So I was like, let me get the damn Ouija board and see if we can get some more. So you're on the lookout for R.I. But Ralph tells the doctor, dude, I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Why don't you come with me? I got some friends at 59 Church Street, and you can rent a room from them, and you'll be safe. Dr. Ladd took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point he wasn't after Amanda's money. Amanda gets wind of this. She's moving down soon so they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Every ghost town that you're ever going to visit, haunted city, is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. We actually have proof of this one. I'm going to get to that. But anyway, he's very happy. But Dr. Ladd and Ralph, while he's waiting for Amanda, they go see plays together all the time because they're really good friends. It's like going to the movies with your buddy. So they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and they're arguing on their way home because Dr. Ladd and Ralph couldn't sit next to each other because the doctor always had better seats. He made more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. So during this argument, Dr. Ladd thought the new actress was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. During that argument, Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. So it gets very ugly, and they go their separate ways. But you've already figured out that Ralph has friends here. So he goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper, telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Like, you're a disgrace to society, sir. Dr. Ladd saw this in the paper, and he rebuttals with, let's go to Duelers Alley and settle this. Yeah, just like that. So they came
I like
down
your style.
Here, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. Not all duels end in death. Even this one. Dr. Ladd. What'd you hear?
I said, that's like the song in Hamlet 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
When you're trying to
exactly. Ralph has his one bullet. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So Dr. Ladd didn't die either. He drops to the ground. Friends carry him home to 59 Church Street, and he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember what type of bullet this was. This is the 1780s. It wasn't like a gunshot wound.
No.
Yeah, he was worried about lead poisoning and everything else. He probably tried to bleed this out himself.
Yeah.
So, I will tell you that depending on which version of the story you're reading, they say he died 10 days later, 4 days later, 6 days later. It just depends on which version. However, the death date always remains the same because it's on his tombstone. And it's November 2nd. So, I will tell you that we often hear the doctor's birthday down here, so I'm not going to tell either one of you what that is, even when we go to the next location. But every ghost tour that comes down here, they always say, be real still, you can hear the whistles. Now, the cool thing is, for you guys, we're using a voice recorder. So when you're listening to this portion of it, just listen in the background. If you're going to come down here on your own and turn on your voice recorders to see if you can get anything, I want you to keep in mind that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street is going to throw a whistle down the alley. I do it every day. So we passed my garage on the way here. It's right above that little convenience store there. So I always pass this alley on the way back to my car. I always throw a whistle, especially since I got kicked out. Let's get into that. That's the fun part. This alley, I'm not going to take you guys all the way through. We're actually going to exit the same way we came in. But I used to let my groups go all the way through, but I will tell you that this alley didn't always go all the way through this way. So before it was Dueler's Alley, it was Cow Alley, because this is where they kept the livestock for the city of Charleston. So it was cut off. So that means those bricks on that side are older. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes. Now, sun-dried bricks means that those slave kids had to turn those bricks in the sun to make sure that they baked. Yeah, so there's a full handprint down there, and you can see it. However, that kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. I treat it the same way I do a grave. All of my groups want to huddle around that brick.
Yeah.
So, one night specifically, November 26th of 2020, my entire team of 10 is huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because it's also outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley.
Oh.
Yeah, I still didn't know all my boundaries yet. I'm just trying to be respectful. Little did I know, I wasn't allowed over there. So again, tours are only allowed to go down halfway. So the new neighbor came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night and Dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. Some of you know I worked in retail for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart, and I don't work Thanksgiving ever again. So I didn't work that day. The next day after that, I got a phone call with the team I was working with, and they said, we need you to either go down halfway or to reroute the group. Somebody obviously complained. So I said, fine, I'll reroute the group because I didn't think it was fair for my group of 10 to be working around 20 to 60 other people that are commonly down here. So I told my group, I don't even believe in this story we're about to go to, but we're going to see what happens. What I didn't tell them was who we were going to be investigating. All I told them was this is a pirate story. You're in Charleston, you got to hear a pirate story. So we left, and on our way out, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. So I went, shit, I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. So I was kind of like, all right, we'll see what happens. I told what little bit I did know about the Anne Bonny story over there. Somebody else heard the number 300. I didn't know what that meant in real time. I'm doing the research the next day. I find out we were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. The exact 300th year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I went, shit, now I got to learn about pirates. So ever since then, I still have a whole bookcase dedicated to nothing but pirates and how to debunk all of the myths and lore. Everything we're about to go through came from a minimum of 2 resources. So again, kind of keep that in mind. It is a space where we're going to be able to spread out. You're going to see other tours walking around. We're going to stay out of their way. But we're probably going to get some carryover from this location. So I do call that bleed over when we're because it's right across the street. The other thing before we leave this space, you guys see the gate behind me? Obviously, I stopped here for a reason. Remember I told you that the alley didn't go all the way through this way? In the event there was a loser to the duel, this was the shortcut to get over to the cemetery on the other side of the brick wall. Otherwise, they'd have to go all the way down the Queen Street and down and around to get to St. Philip Cemetery, and that's going to stop them from going to get a pint to go celebrate the winter. So the gate obviously wasn't here. The wrought iron was put up probably in early 1900s, but the archway you can see is definitely original.
Yeah.
So again, very cool stuff. Not many people know why this archway is actually here.
Enough.
I'm going to actually stop this video because it looks like it's picking up some bushes. I've been kind of keeping an eye on it. The first thing we're going to be talking about, just so you know, is that little tiny building over there. That's why we're here. That little tiny building with the crosses on it, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles. They go through the roof. There's a bolt on either side. In the event we have another earthquake, like what we did, like I mentioned earlier, you can turn them, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
So, the reason I bring those up, it's part of the reason why we're here. Those are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Why? That's the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713.
Wow.
So this building is what I call a familiar to our friend Anne Bonny. A familiar is the same principle of using a toy to attract a child ghost. So kind of think of it that way for your TV show watchers.
Mm-hmm.
So this building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government 10-year small building? No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, our story begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708. Follow me, there's a lot of twists. 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She comes here from Ireland. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Are you guys with me so far?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
That's weird.
The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How pissed was the wife that they had to run all the way from Ireland
To
here?
America, yeah.
Right. So they land in Georgetown, right? That's just north of us. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So that's why the building is familiar. That's why we're here. Anne is actually said to be seen all over town, but this is a hit or miss location. We're either going to have a lot going on or nothing going on, just so you know. It's one of those places. Anyway, fast forward. The building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love, so that way she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world at that point. So, guy number one. Yes, I said number one. There's a handful. We're going to go through them. Guy number one is James Bonny. You already see where this one's going, right? So, Dad didn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormack became Anne Bonny. So now, when she gets down there, she realizes that James Bonny is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, right? Because every young lady wanted a Captain Jack. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This is not who she wants. So, a few years later, she falls in love again. This guy's name is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character on.
Oh.
Okay? Just so you know who this is. So, now, Jack has, we're going to call him Jack through the whole shebang, just so you know. Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. You guys know why?
Because she's the only female on the crew.
Well, think a little bit more family friendly.
Oh.
It's bad luck.
Okay.
We're talking pirates, right?
Right.
So, and I get little kids on the tour, so everybody like looks at me like, really? So you want us to ask that with little Billy standing right there? So anyway, it's bad luck, but he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the guy and look like the crew, then you can be part of the crew. So she's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she gets it. She's like, whatever, it's a man's world, let's go. But she's a female in his quarters. Let's put two and two together now, adults.
Okay.
Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. We can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, then they're going to vote Jack off the ship. So Jack decides he's going to drop her off in Cuba. These are friends of mine. They'll help you with the pregnancy. Come back later. We'll figure it out. So she goes and has a baby, returns with no baby. We have no idea what happens to the child. No amount of my research can find it. So good luck on that one. However, she comes back dressed as a female. She's pretty angry. And this makes Jack angry because now everybody's going to know he let a girl on the crew. While she was gone giving birth to his baby, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting because that's what Anne does. We're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males on the same ship, in case you lost track of that. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure, but the British found out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to take down one pirate ship. Rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. They obviously don't know how to use cannons yet, haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies are not going to take on a fleet of ships. They get arrested, and as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot, regardless of the fact that we just had a dog in the lot, which was the first thing I thought of when it showed up. But we have had the word dog show up here quite a bit. The judge, he wants to see the two quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack 2 days prior and all of his drunken pirates that wouldn't fight. Anne and Mary go in front. They reveal their gender. He doesn't give a shit that they're female. They're still pirates. So he's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they screamed out because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal.
Oh.
So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money, bails her out, brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. So, yeah, she has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending. Yes,
Wow.
I know. It's only because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. Mary Read dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates die from, in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was fever, something very simple. We're talking pirates. Let's make it romantic. It was probably scurvious, nasty, gross, bumpy. Use your imaginations. So, again, we're going to kind of leave it at that. I only left 2 things out as far as clues for questions for you communication device people. So, you can ask the name of Anne Bonny's parents. I left that out on purpose. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So you can ask what that is. Now, as far as the motion sensor, do you see on the back of that device where there's a little flap? You're going to lift up the flap. Let me help you out because you're using 2. I'll set it up for you. But you're going to be asking Anne Bonny what her hair color is, and hopefully she's going to show you. So what this guy does, anything interrupts that field, it goes off. The closer it gets, the higher it's going to go. So obviously her hair color is red, and you can see the only way for her to give us red is to touch it. Every time it goes off, you're going to click this little button right here at the bottom of the 3 right here. So you might want to switch hands and thumb it. Every time it goes off, you're just going to reset it.
This one? Bottom? Okay.
You got it. Every time it beeps, click it and reset. If it goes back to the same color, it's not coming from you. Just keep in mind, it will go off as you walk around, coming from your motion. So I'm going to break out the SLS camera. We're going to explore the space a little bit, and we're going to see what we can get out of here.
20 minutes, gold, and liberty.
20 and gold are definitely, like 20 is 1720. So I'm going to take that one for sure. The gold is obviously a definite pirate term.
Yeah,
it's
pirate.
pretty vague.
Barrel. That's like a pirate term, right?
Barrel? Yeah, barrels of
Yeah, I
rum,
never
barrels
did.
of sugar. Yeah.
But the liberty came from a Liberty commercial. I
Yeah,
heard.
and that's a common thing for us. I normally omit certain things that we commonly get. So liberty is one of those pieces that we commonly get. So again, that's actually all good stuff. I'm still going to write down the 20 and the gold just because of where we are and kind of see what else we can get out of it. It's really going to be hard to be discreet with this camera. Again, these other tours that pay to get filmed. That's mainly coming from you. I can tell by the tone and the way you're walking.
Yeah. As long as it has enough ambient light to pick up your cheekbones, iris, and lips. That's why sometimes it won't work if you have like sunglasses on, like aviator shaped sunglasses. It won't work. Oh yeah.
Reset that thing.
This one?
No.
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna go see if I can see anything by the.
Your camera loves to act up in here, just so you know.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of weird shit come out of that guy.
I've got everything red. I know how flare camera works, but I don't know why everything is red right now, even though it's reading 47 degrees. Like, look.
It's because the mode that I have it on, it's going to fluctuate, so I can see things a little bit better.
Oh, okay. Copy.
A little bit of footage you had.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's super sensitive.
Yeah.
And it wears out like every 6 months. I gotta buy a new one.
Yeah.
So psychics that I get on a tour that have been pretty legit, they normally see a soldier standing over here, and they all describe him the exact same way: blue pants, white shirt, every single time.
Navy.
We're in the South. Should be gray.
Oh shit! Good point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing.
Fuck is blue pants, white shirt.
Yeah.
In the South, what is that?
I don't know.
The UN didn't exist yet. Nurses Corps didn't exist yet.
The only thing I could think of is this also served in the French and Indian War. I didn't look up the French uniforms.
I don't know what their colors are. Like, I know what they are now. I wouldn't know what they
I
were
mean,
back
I would
then.
have to look them up during that time.
I would assume it was something red.
Yeah, red would
Yeah.
be red and white would be my first
Yeah.
instinct. for-
Same. Oh,
But again, it's always blue pants, white shirt.
like right around there.
Yep, always.
Was the name of the ship after someone's son?
No.
That came up right when I asked the question.
Son. Junior.
I was just, and it stayed asking for a while and then went to Sun.
Again, this is a hit or miss location. I'll probably know within 5 minutes, like if we have actually anything going on based on what Vanette's. And Vanette, you got anything?
I don't think she heard you.
Do you have anything coming through?
Sorry, I have it very loud. I heard like 303
Okay.
creative. That was kind of it. Everything else was mostly ads.
Okay. 303 and creative. I don't think I've ever had creative come out of that. Jesse, you might want to kill that motion sensor.
No.
Yeah, I would kill that white button in the back. I think it's just being too sensitive with your motions. And if you want to show yourself, I could see you. I got this new crazy gizmo.
Yeah, it got up to blue. That's the closest.
Again, the way you are moving around,
Yeah.
I mean, you're pretty active like I am.
Yeah.
I have a hard time when I'm walking around though, because it's not meant to be that.
Haze.
You're meant to like set it on something
Purple
and
haze.
see if something gets closer. I have the proximity set like super close,
Yeah.
so that way not
got
every
over
insect over here is going to make it go off over there.
Got it.
So I have it set super close, but it also picks up your guys' motion depending on how active that person is. But you're like me, like you're
I'm gonna
constantly
come.
moving. Yeah.
Haze.
Haze. Pirates are known for some hazing, but I don't
Yeah.
think that's a stretch.
It's a big stretch.
Came.
And then King.
I
Okay.
mean, we're talking about a very sexual woman.
Good
We're
point.
going to get
Good
technical.
point. And then the only letters she got over there were R, W, and A.
I'm getting a lot of RWAs throughout the tour. Yeah.
War?
Probably possible. War is possible.
This thing served in 7 wars.
Oh, okay. That's very possible. Babe, he said that any of the real psychics and mediums that come on the tour, they've always seen a soldier standing right there wearing, you said, blue pants, white
Blue
shirt?
pants.
Very cool.
Blue pants, white shirt. But,
I'm gonna start coughing again. Sorry.
God. You want another cough drop?
Stuff.
Got that good stuff. Hold this.
Glass. My throat feels like glass.
What?
I'm trying.
Some of these have been pretty.
We should have brought water.
Oh, you mean this? You mean that?
You've had water?
My back pocket the whole time.
Yeah, we'll get anywhere between like a 5 to 7.
You didn't ask.
The soldier what?
So I immediately said Navy, and he said, no, we're in the South. It should be gray. And I'm like, no, yeah, that's a good point. So the only thing I would think of would be French, but French uniforms were red. Red, red and white, white and red. Blue and white. The only blue and white uniforms I know of, outside of U.S. Navy, the Air Force, which didn't exist back then, the United Nations didn't exist back then. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Sugar.
Sugar, we're in the South, so that makes sense.
Well, we're also talking pirates.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jamaica would have been
Yeah,
a big crop.
Jamaica.
And she did hear the word barrel earlier. So
Yeah,
barrels of
that's
sugar.
right. She heard barrel earlier. That's right. Question.
Yeah.
How did they... What made them think soldier? Because I know you said blue pants, white shirt.
I think it was like almost like the stand of attention and the
Okay.
anger coming off of this person.
But there was no weapon.
Not to my recollection of anybody ever mentioning a weapon.
Okay.
Interesting. Class and stand.
Stand at attention.
Vote. Didn't we just say?
Well, vote is
Blue
a big
and
deal
white.
with the pirates because
Pirates,
they actually had
yeah.
a democracy.
Yeah.
The glass one stands out to me, and I'll explain before we leave.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a bit of a stretch.
Okay.
But it's still like a
Okay.
See if he gets any ratings back there. If not, we'll
Why is this red? This doesn't make sense.
because it's the warmest thing in the picture at that point. Let me point some things out. So let's go up to the wall.
Okay.
So point your camera directly at the wall. Should be completely red.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Keep it there.
Uh-huh.
Watch the wall.
Oh, yeah, okay. Your hand became red and the wall
Right.
became blue. Oh, okay.
Any readings, Jesse?
Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna call it on this one.
Okay.
Let's come over here to the wall. Your left. Any other crazy terms showing up out of yours?
After him and faster.
Well, Henry did die after his son. It's a vague stretch.
We got sun before, didn't we?
He
That
did.
was way back.
Yeah, that was over by Powder Magazine, but there's no reference to Henry over there at all.
Okay.
Because I will tell you that Henry and his son are
Possession.
both buried in
That
Columbia.
sounds like fun.
Yeah, right? Both buried in Columbia, right next to each other. So the son's name is very specific. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but don't think of your Georges and Charleses and that kind of thing from the 1800s. It's going to be very specific, and yes, it could be a little kid's name if you want to look at it that way. Of course, I'll tell you what those things are before we leave the space. But again, I'm going to be testing a lot around this right here. But the rest of you, I mean, by all means, let's just start spreading out. Let's see what we can find in here. This is our last stop, so.
Okay.
let's-
Sorry, I always ask this. Get specific questions in. I like to go about it.
Kid's name?
Kids name.
Age. Oh, you can also ask the wife's name.
Okay.
I didn't tell you that either.
No, you
The
didn't.
wife's name is showing up here several times.
Fortune.
Babe, go ahead. I'm just going to try to keep you in the frame.
Okay. That's how I talk to spirits. Hi.
Plus, I like checking out your butt on FLIR.
Huh?
I said, plus, I like checking out your butt on FLIR. It's fun for me. Oh, my bad. Anywho. What the fuck is that?
Can you stop? Can we be serious?
No, I'm dead serious. Look, come here. Look, if you think I'm joking, come look. Oh, it's the lamppost. I'm sorry. I'm like, what the fuck is that hotspot?
Hi. What's your son's name? What's his date of birth?
Yeah, what was your date of birth? We know you're shy, but we're here for you, so. Talk to us. Give us something. What was your wife's name? Want to talk about her? Okay. Let's poke the bear a bit.
Eastern Standard Time.
Eastern name. Let's go. How'd you feel about being sick your whole life? What about your favorite poem that you wrote?
How did tuberculosis feel?
Yeah, there's nothing there. So, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Any new words? Eastern?
Eastern. And a bunch of scrambled letters. Cook.
Cook?
Mm-hmm.
Cook.
You like to cook?
I asked him how he felt about being sick his whole life. He said cook. Felt cooked. His geese was cooked.
What was the DOB?
I don't know if DOB is gonna be a
Is
Tell
that
him he'd
too
know.
like
Yeah,
2023?
yeah.
We should go by the statue.
Okay.
And hold it on this side, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, don't even touch that camera. It's
Cool,
gonna
cool.
be really sensitive tonight. Keep getting something over by the monument, but I think it's the monument.
Is that you? Is that you I'm seeing on the screen? A? What are the letters before it? You just gave me AH. After I asked you that too, brother.
Oops.
That thing's pretty consistent.
Come here, look.
Mm. Oh.
Oh, what?
I mean, it's been there for like 5 minutes.
I got local.
He was a local.
Yeah, I got local.
Yeah.
DAHEJT.
upside down doesn't mean it's not relevant. And
Any-
there's a million monuments in here.
Any Axel, Alex, anything like that? I got AXEI, and that's the third time or Axe. Did any of them die by axe or have an axe accident?
I mean, we are next to Washington. Then he chopped down a
Cut down
cherry tree.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's still I know. Big mess.
Money. Okay.
That corner over there, I can't tell if it was because maybe I was close. I don't know if that's a symmetrical thing.
It's not. We tested it.
Oh.
That's one of the corners where we get it probably once a week. One night we had it over here. It's all over.
Well, I'll tell you this, like, this was pretty much zero the whole time until then it went to like 13 and it had like readings above 3.
Okay. How was the readings on the other one?
Low.
Low.
Yeah. Like it didn't get past maybe 0.5, 0.6.
Interesting. Anything crazy going on with your camera?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Vanette, you got anything?
Any words?
So, a couple of weird things going on here, and then I'm going to stop my videos, so you can probably stop yours to kind of give
Yep.